Albert was born in 1206 in Swabia, Germany, of the noble Bollstadt family. Though he was an ideal student during his studies at the University of Padua in Italy, he was also fascinated by the natural world, which he studied through hunting, fishing, and exploring. As a young man, he decided to become a Dominican. Though his uncle tried to discourage him, and his father threatened to kidnap him if he tried, Albert entered anyway. His father apparently later cooled off. Albert received a master's degree, became a teacher at various schools of the Dominican order, and was regent at Cologne, where Thomas Aquinas became his student. He was always busy with his duties as a scholar, scientist, and teacher, but he was also devout in his duties as a Dominican priest. An excellent scientist who used reason and verified his conclusions through experimentation, Albert wrote extensively on many subjects, such as astronomy, geography, physics, chemistry, biology, mineralogy, and botany, and his works were used by scholars for centuries. But it was his use of Aristotle's philosophy to bring order to the study of theology that was his greatest contribution. The mendicant orders were controversial at the time, as well as daring to use the writings of the pagan Aristotle, and Albert was called on many times to defend both the Dominican order and his work. He was provincial general for his order at one point, and he served as the Pope's personal theologian and canonist when he was in Rome. He was ordained Bishop of Cologne, and although he resigned 2 years later, he continued to ordain priests and bless churches for the Dominican order. As all Dominicans are called to do, he preached the gospel, and his sermons and writings on the Mass, the Eucharist, and the Blessed Virgin strongly influenced his own and later generations of priests. In his later years, he wrote and taught in relative peace until he was called to a general council in Lyon, France. In 1274, there he defended the teachings of his student, Thomas Aquinas, who had recently died. In 1278, his memory failed while he was giving a lecture. His memory loss became serious, but he died 2 years later, sitting peacefully in his chair among his brothers in Cologne, who sang the Salve Regina for his soul when they recognized that the great Friar Albert had passed on. Some estimate that his writings total an incredible 20 million words. The only saint of the Church surnamed the Great because of his scholarly works. 17 Albert was also named a Doctor of the Church in 1931.